Is there somewhere we can talk for real? Because, I'm sorry, who is this dude?
Darius,
No,
man,
I'm fine
we
with
met over
talking
there
right here.
when you first walked in. I gave you a cookie.
No, yeah, I remember who you are. Look, I'm not asking for money.
You should be. Ain't you homeless?
Not real homeless. I'm not using a rat as a phone or
Don't
something.
be racist, man. That make you schizophrenic. That don't make you homeless.
Wait. Yeah, just so y'all know, there's probably a bullet in here somewhere.
Noted.
Harrison, born Antoine Smalls, has transracial identity, identifying as Harrison Booth, a 35-year-old white man from Colorado.
And when did you know that you were a 35-year-old white man?
Well, I've always felt different. I go to the store, the movies, and just be thinking to myself, like, why am I not getting the respect I deserve? Mm-hmm. And then it just hit me. I'm white and 35. I just miss Colorado sometimes. You know, here I pretend the buildings are the old San Juan mountain range, but, you know, the job's just here.
And where do you work?
I'm a systems engineer for Coca-Cola.
Oh, okay.
That boy don't work. He go to school and that's it. One day he said, call me Harrison. I said, who's that? He said, me.
Do you believe that he is a white man?
I mean, he isn't. Shit, I'd love to wake up one day and say, hey, everybody, I'm Rihanna. But I ain't.
So how do you embrace your identity?
I dress a certain way. Patagonia. I wear a thick brown leather belt. I like to envision myself after the surgery.
Hey, excuse me, what IPA do you have on tap? Hey, did you see Game of Thrones last night? Yeah.
Are you coming in?
No. I'm going to Vans and Lottie's tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Daddy daycare?
Daddy daycare. Yeah.
Warm the bottles up.
You did good, man. I'll catch you.
All right.
And now that it's over, I'll never be sober. I couldn't believe, and now I'm so high. And now I'm so high.
And what is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode, Unfiltered Bachelor. I'm your Unfiltered Bachelor, Blake, Money Blake Weather, and welcome to the breakdown series of Atlanta. We have broken down the first 10 episodes of the season, and right now, this is a season recap. We had our guest on the last episode. You know him, you love him. I don't even know if you loved him. I did, so it doesn't fucking matter. Terry, I appreciate you staying back on, man, and talking some shit with us.
Again.
Yes.
I love to be here. I love Atlanta. I love adding diversity to places where I can. That's how I get a lot of my jobs. Mm-hmm. You know, I can never hate on affirmative action.
Well, that's how you got this job. So
that's how I got this job.
That's how you got this job right here. I'll tell you what. Or my name isn't Blake Stevenson, and if that's not the whitest name ever, I'll do you one better. Welcome, my co-host, your neighbor with the flavor, your guy on the fly, or probably not, Jeff. Jeff, I'm not going to give away your last name, but it's
I was going to counter you. If Blake Stevenson's not the whitest name ever, it's Jeffrey James Madel. Yeah. That's colonialism right there, motherfucker.
Is your name on the Mayflower?
Thank God, no. Unfortunately, I came to find out. So my family's German, right? You know how you can do that Ancestry.com, and the free thing is they'll just tell you what your name means? My last name means little girl or feminine. My name is Jeffrey Little Girl.
No, it's pretty accurate. Moving on.
The girl I was dating at the time had a last name of Ferrari. Her name meant stallion. It was not a fun night.
The little girl and the stallion. Sounds like a perfect couple.
If that's not an introduction to the show Atlanta, I don't know what is.
I don't know what is. If that's not racism at its finest, I don't know what is. These are all races coming together. I think that's what part of the show is about. And so much so, I wanted to recap everything that we've watched and witnessed up until this point. You know, I love starting off every episode with our top 3 takeaways. And in this episode, we're going to do something similar to that. But what I first want to do is Terry, what are your top 3 episodes of this season?
Top 3.
I know it's so fucking hard, bro. I know it's so fucking hard.
It is. That's a hard thing. That's like picking between my top 3 favorite strains.
My man be smoking.
Well, bad news. The next question is, what's your top 3 favorite strains?
That's going to take hours.
How much time you got?
Number 1 episode, it has to be BAN. That's just the greatest episode I've ever seen of TV history right there. Just seeing all the commercials of the Tavis Smiley guy. It was perfect. Of course, the Swisher Sweets of, just the reveal of what Swisher Sweets really are for. You dump them out and you put something else in it.
You got them.
Okay, that's what you do with Swisher Sweets. Then followed by Juneteenth. That episode just kind of resonates with me just so much, being, a black kid that went to a private white school and then went to like an all-white public school in like the nice neighborhoods. I know all those people and just trying to be like that. Like Craig,
Terry, you know a lot of Craigs?
Honestly, I probably would have hung out with Craig. Craig would have been my boy.
He was in that all-black fraternity, bro. I don't know if you caught that.
Like I know those, like, call them the uppity people. They're the uppity blacks. It's a good way to put it. I hung around them. I know what they're like.
Okay. And then your third.
Third has to be go for broke. Just get to see what Paperboy's actual occupation is, how it goes down, and of course, just the cameo by the Migos, just terrific.
Right. Oh, terrific!
We're the 3, the 4
Migos.
That man got that night.
All right, Jeff, I want you to go because you go first, and then you'll see why I'm going to have you go.
So I'm going to do my 3 favorites. My third favorite is episode 2, Streets on Lock.
Oh, very good.
1, it's a fucking hilarious episode. 2, if episode 1 doesn't pull you in, which I can understand that, episode 2, you're hooked. Straight up. And, like, there's a lot of TV shows where it's like, oh, man, you just got to get through episode 5, and then you're good. No, this one... episode 1 hooked me, but if it didn't, episode 2 absolutely would have. But also, and I think this is an important thing, is, we pointed out, Glover has said, one of the things about this show is he wants it to kind of showcase things about the black community and black society that white people don't see on a regular basis. And for better or worse, there is a vast, disproportionate amount of black people in the prison system than there are white people. So I got to see a lot of stuff that I never would have seen, and hopefully never will. But it opened my eyes to a lot of stuff, some things that, like, hey, this is just, I didn't know this is how, I didn't know you couldn't sleep, while you're waiting. I didn't know, I had an idea about the guy with the mental issues, but, I didn't know it was that bad. And so, I just like that it showed me some things I didn't know. Nice. My second favorite
jail
episode
is horrible.
Yeah. It does not look fun.
Don't ever go.
I don't know why all these people decide to keep going. It looks awful. Worst vacation ever. Second episode, I gotta agree with Terry. Juneteenth, man. But I come at it from the other's perspective of like, hey, Jeff, as a white guy who grew up in a somewhat affluent suburb of Chicago, maybe never forget that you can be a condescending prick, and maybe just be cognizant of it, And it was, I think it's important to see things like that, and it really is. It's a reflection of society, and it's an important reflection of society to make a lot of people look at it and go, "Yep, don't be that guy. Don't be a Craig."
Don't be a Craig.
Also, I think some of the best acting was in that episode, which I really enjoyed. But for me, number one episode 4, Streisand Effect.
Really?
I loved I loved watching Paperboy deal with that fame. I loved him. I love the entire interaction with Zan, even though I fucking hate Zan. But
I love Zan.
He's just, when he lets his young kid partner get robbed at the door, he's just filming it. I was laughing so hard. But the biggest part for me is, I've been very vocal about this since the first episode. I fucking love Darius. And if this isn't Darius's episode, I don't know what it is, man. And I just love how this shows how good of a guy Darius is. I think it really explains his personality well. And I don't know. Yeah, it keeps sticking with me that, like, hey, Darius is the guy that's going to help you out. I mean, he's literally giving Ern a ride just for free to help him out and stuff. And then he offers him a way to make more money. And then when it turns out that the money wasn't there right away like Ern was expecting, he's like, oh, well, just here, take my phone. Like, not a fucking thought to it. Just, yeah, take my phone. It's cool. I love Darius, man. He's my boy.
I love that episode too, and I have to say that's probably one of my favorite moments of the season is that whole story, because it's simply an old story called The One Red Paperclip. And maybe you remember this story. It's the man who started with one red paperclip, and he kept trading up and trading up and trading up.
Like a yacht or something?
Eventually
or
get a house.
I was going to say a house, right?
So, with the sword, we kind of get a price for it because when he goes to turn the phone, he says he'll give him $195. And so he even out trades it for the sword. So the sword was $195, and then you'll eventually see how much he actually comes up on it. So you get the one red.
Not giving away. Not giving away.
Hey, Blake, just erase like the past 10 seconds of Jeff talking, Actually, hang on. All right, now it's been 10 seconds. Just erase that. My bad.
But yeah, not to give it away, but yeah, that you see him. The come up is real. The come up is real from $195, and we'll see it in season 2. Absolutely. I love that. I'm going to start from my bottom like you, and you'll see the reason why I didn't even want to go after Terry. My number three is Go for Broke. I love the way I love the way the episode starts when he's in the fucking like, can I get a kid's meal? And she's like, what? Can I get it? I just played it right. Can I get a kid's meal?
Like, she just became assistant manager, and she didn't do it by giving out kids meals.
No, day manager, first of all, and she didn't get there giving away free discount meals. Okay, it starts off so great, and I also love and probably for a different reason than Terry does. I run a dating podcast, Unfiltered Bachelor, for the most part. We do break down TV and shit, but like, it has that element of being on a date. And like Terry knows balling on a budget. Terry is from Balling on a Budget. Like, if this isn't Balling on a Budget episode, I don't fucking know what is. You know what I mean? Like,
he tried, and his one failure was always check your sources. He got good information from Swift. I don't blame Swift. He was correct. But he should have checked that website to make sure. There's nothing that's just going to destroy your game than being nervous about not being able to pay for the date. And if he would have checked, he wouldn't have put himself in that situation.
Or it being too much.
It would have saved him if he checked Balling on a Budget.
It would have saved him. We would have been like, no, this is out of date. They no longer do that.
They no longer do happy hour. I just want to let you know. My favorite scenes is this scene from this episode where he's like, "Oh, I got this vest over from the Kroger down the street, and then I got this is a lightsaber, Luke Skywalker."
One of my favorite quotes is from this episode, and it's from the beginning, where Darius is pulling the gun out of the cereal box. He just goes, "Hey, if you guys are gonna have some cereal, just careful. There's probably a bullet in here."
Might be a bullet in here. Yeah. No, mine is again, to go back to the relationship dating thing, is when Ern is in the kitchen by himself, and he talks to Swift. He pulls a bottle of champagne, and he says, "I might win tonight. That boy might get him some booty, and he might be in a good place." And how for people that go on dates and in relationships, like winning when you're against the elements, when the elements are against you, and you're trying to get on your girl's good side, getting that win, you're gonna do it at any and all costs, and like it feels so good when the stars you're forecasting, and the stars are aligning for you. Hey, Ern might win tonight. That is the theme of that, and I love it. My second favorite episode, Juneteenth. Terry, I think you can see where I'm going with this list, if you can't already tell. Juneteenth is my second favorite episode. It's number 2 on my list, and it's because of all of the cringeworthy elements that remind me of like a reversal of Get Out. Right? Like it's a reversal of Get Out. It's Get Out.
It's Get Out reverse.
Right. Get Get in.
It is.
Get Out is coming.
It's so fucking cringe.
And in some sects of black culture, that is a way to win. Assimilate perfectly. Mm-hmm. That's the only way. If you can't beat them, join them. And that everything that I've seen in Juneteenth, I was like, yeah, I've seen that before. I've seen that party.
The slave ship serving day is just, oh my God.
Look at Terry laughing. Y'all can't see it, but Terry's fucking.
Which, by the way, my favorite part about that is when Ern points that out, that's the first time you're like, oh shit.
It is a little.
They are slave ships.
I love this episode for a lot of reasons. It has a lot of it tells a lot of like what the fuck is going on with Ernest's character. It starts off with him in a different girl's apartment. Van has to pick him up. Hey, he is deadbeat as fuck. He's a piece of shit, quote unquote, like boyfriend, even though him and Van aren't anything. Like at this point, Van fucking like imagine the fucking low down dirty shame like you are like for your baby mama to pick you up. You have to go with her. Like she's not even your wife. She's your baby mama. She's not your girlfriend. She's not your fucking girl you're dating, I suppose. She's your baby mama, and she's picking you up from this girl you just hooked up with that she saw on your phone. You know what I mean? Van saw that picture on the Value episode. Me and you heard that episode, Terry. So, but me and Jeff suspect that that's the same fucking girl, right? I don't know. I'll give you a chance right now. Is that the same fucking girl? What do you think?
I'd have to double check, but I think it might be. But that's just even weirder if it is, because I have something that connects that Value episode with this episode about Van.
Lay it on me. Lay it on me right now before I finish. Lay it on me.
And when you guys were saying Van's friend
is an escort,
might be an escort.
She's an escort.
Is an escort.
Jade. Yeah.
I believe that. Yeah. And her value, and she's being talked about what her values are. But thinking, what are black women's values? What stereotypical values do they give them? And one's like, with Van, she's smart, she's pretty, she can go far. But the first value she gets offered is to be a high-class escort. That's kind of messed up. Yeah. And then the very second value, and there might be more, but this other value she's being offered is, well, you're like the woman who pulled her side. You're smart and you're pretty. Do what I did, which was marry a white man who has money. And that really is a stereotypical cultural thing of, be a high-class forward, sell your body if you're smart and pretty. If you're a pretty woman, you can get away with that. You're a pretty woman.
If you think about it,
or
Jade and Monique
get you a white man.
Body.
Right.
It's so Terry, like, can I accentuate your point real quick? Is it like
that's
like having a black girl as like a trophy, like wife, girlfriend type thing? Like it's like a trophy, right? Like, is that fair enough to say?
Especially for him. Yeah, for Craig's perspective is look how woke I am. Look how not racist I am. I have so much money, and I'm even doing a favor by, elevating someone else up.
He doesn't just have a black friend.
And look how
got a black wife.
She is. Look how she acts just like us too. It's so great.
It's so great.
And the wife is kind of telling Van, is like, hey, you could do what I do, and you'll be a success at it too. You're smart. You're pretty. You can get yourself just a paycheck
And
that
in
you
the-
can
I
live in.
And in the whole
I
episode,
think an important point of that too is.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, hang on, Blake, real
go
quick.
ahead.
I think a real important point of that is Monique's not bitter or angry or upset about it at all.
No,
she's fucking happy about this too.
She
And I think
says
that's a really important point as well.
Just like, I like Craig. Craig's fine, but I love my money.
Love my money. Yeah, man, that's a really good connection. Fuck. Sorry, Blake, I cut you off, man.
No, it's all good. You and Terry can take over the show from here. I'm just kidding.
All right, so welcome to Unfiltered Bachelor Remix Edition.
Man, fuck you, white boy.
You can find us on.
No, I think like those are all accentuating points as to like what Van is dealing with. And also, if we remember about this episode, everybody at this fucking party thinks Van and Ern are fucking married. Squeeze me. It fucking squeezed me real quick. Van just picked up her fucking baby daddy from another girl's house, and they have to go and make pretend that they are fucking married. Didn't know. Like, here's the thing: these people are. If they would have taken 2 seconds to look at either one of their hands, they would have noticed they have no wedding rings. The thing is, nobody's fucking paying attention to what the fuck other people like. This party is so for facade that people don't even notice small details. They notice just really this whole overtone. They don't notice the small details like that. That ain't nobody at this party, and we saw that they interacted with like so many fucking people, and nobody at this party was like, "Where's your wedding ring?" That was never a line in this fucking episode. Everybody just kind of went along with the fucking facade because it's all a fucking facade.
It was all tell me how you can make my life better. Tell me what we can better do for you.
Right.
It was also tell me how great my life is.
Yes.
It's all of us together talking about how great all of us are and how great all of our lives are.
Yes.
Like
a collective.
Did you ever doubt your life was fantastic? We know it is, and you know what ours is. It's getting that validation, giving each other that validation that they don't necessarily deserve.
Even to the point where Ern tells the truth and just like, I'm not shit. And this girl right here, she takes care of everything, and she's like the love of my life.
Oh,
and
yeah,
like, she's a fucking perfect woman, and yada yada yada. Almost, and it's to the point where like even the truth makes Van sick, and even the truth makes these people laugh. Like there's no fucking middle ground where they can find normalcy, which is why at the end of it he's like, "This is fucking whack. You're fucking whack. This is fucking weird." You know what I mean? Like that's Ern speaking. Again, I think there's always a voice of the audience in every episode. Ern is that in that episode. So again, I love that episode. We could go on and on. I want to make sure we get to some other shit before all that. And then of course my number one episode, Terry, I basically did your list backwards, but like that's my list literally, is the BAN episode. My number one favorite episode because of the, I think of the whole risqueness of it. Like it's so like
it's absurd. It's absurdity to its finest.
To its finest, but also like it touches on so many things that like people like it puts you in a place of like, yeah, dude. I talked about this on the episode, and I just released it. Was like that dude remind me of Tavis Smiley. The whole setup, the whole Montague.
Tavis.
That's Tavis to the core. And then it also reminds you of like kind of like an around the table of like when they have political people there, and all of a sudden that whole thing, like you see it and you're like, man, fuck that white lady, because fucking Paperboy is a shit. Like you have a side until like the white lady's like freedom of speech. Like you're absolutely right, and you're like, wait, what the fuck am I watching? It turns all of the
I think it's
things
very
on
interesting
its head.
that's both of your favorite episode, and that's the highest rated episode, and that's the only episode that we don't have Donald Glover in season 1.
But he did direct it, and he did get it. Like, did get an
He
Emmy.
did.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's
He
a
did.
reason for all of that, and it's not like you're wrong.
I just think that's interesting.
Yeah, it touches on so many things, so many stereotypes. Even the one you left off, Terry, that I will say is the Mickeys when they're pouring it like champagne. They're pouring it like fucking champagne, and it's like there's the whole stereotype of the Dodge Charger. When you find out this guy's story, you're like, It's all a front, bro. It's all a front in this world of Atlanta. It's all
either
fucking...
stunting or front. It's stunting and fronting. Stunting versus fronting.
And it's a little bit of both right then and there, man. I love that episode. It touches on everything, and it touches even on these things that, like, do you want to agree with this kid, his 18-year-old kid, like, who is in high school, who does not have 2 jobs, who is not white and is not from Colorado? Like, do you want to agree with him? Or do you, like, totally agree with him because you're like, he can be whatever he wants to be. He can do whatever he wants to do. And then the moment you see him with that goddamn wig, you're like, oh, no. Ooh, no, baby. What is he doing? What is he doing?
Blake, that wasn't a wig. That wasn't a wig. He went Super Saiyan.
Oh, you mean he's the fifth Beatle that nobody talks about?
Another big point in that episode is obviously the main character in that episode is Paperboy, and like you say, you feel like there's always a voice of the audience, and in that episode, Paperboy is clearly the voice of the audience, and saying things that we all think anytime, like that chick who said that, the white girl who's like, oh no, I'm black, and it's like, but you know how you're not, and like, yeah, that's what's going on here, you know.
Tara, I'd love to get your take just real quick, like in a minute or two, on that episode when it has to deal, because this episode came out at that time where that white lady was like, "Oh no, I'm black," like
Rachel DeLittle,
whatever the fuck her name was, bro. Like this is the opposite of that.
Yeah,
this is the opposite of that. Yeah, like what was your take on that and how it pertains to this episode? I know we didn't have you on, but as we're doing a recap, I'd love to get since we're still on it right now, real quick, your thoughts on it.
It was just absurdity, and it was just that one. I guess maybe it was trying to take, looking into the whole trans issue that was kind of bigger back in the day. Like it was such a, whoa, no, what is trans? I don't know what that is. And now, everyone's like, yeah, it's a thing. Okay. But back then, and then it was like, well, if you can say whatever gender you are, can you say whatever race you are? Mm-hmm. And why not? Mm-hmm. And I guess that maybe might be trying to like spark that conversation, but no one really wants to have that conversation.
Yeah. Well, that was the funniest part is everyone's response was, can you really say, can you be transracial? I mean, if you can be transgender, why can't you be transracial? And everyone's like, because. It was just like, end of conversation. It's like, listen, dude, if you want to be a woman, that's cool. If you want to be a guy, that's fine. But no, we're stopping. We're done. Here's the wall.
The race thing. No, you just can't.
And they turned that up to a volume 11 on this episode, because not only is he picking his race, he's picking his age, and when they ask him about gay marriage, he's like, "Oh no, baby! Like that's not that is not a good thing. That's unnatural."
Why would I ever believe in such a thing?
I'm dead. That makes me want to. I'm dead. Like you can't like they wanted it both ways and they couldn't. That's the absurdity of the show. That's the reality of the show. It's like it is reality, 100%. But how absurd can we make it? Like media and everything wants to make it this way. How absurd can we make it? And that's the beauty of that episode. And that's why it's my number one. So basically, my list is Terry's, but I didn't want to go after Terry and let him know that because, God damn it, our guest came on and fucking shit on me, basically. And it's so great.
I'll be honest, I also figured these are like, those three were the most high-rated episodes. So I was like, maybe I should say some other ones.
I didn't like. I was gonna seriously replace "Go for Broke" with Biebs, the Biebs episode, because I love the idea of a black Justin Bieber. Like that's my if we can go around the table real quick. Honorable mention number 5, nobody messes with the Biebs or whatever. That's my honorable mention. Jeff, what's yours?
That was my honorable mention. That was that one.
Terry, yours?
Mine was the Streisand effect.
Oh, that's a good one though.
Just because the red paperclip, I fucking love that story of just that's so balling on the buzzes, just starting off with something small and then trading up and trading up and trading up.
Re-upping, man.
Yeah, that's how I started my whole career.
Terry done traded up. Then I met him mid-trade up at a call center, and then we started from the bottom. Now we're here. So that's all I'm saying, man. Terry, you realize that was 9 years ago, right? 2011, bro. We about to start crying.
This still feels like yesterday. I was like making people cry and telling them that GM's not good.
Don't buy GM. That's how me and Terry met, was a call center GM, ladies and gentlemen.
And we were there. We were there doing the whole bailout thing, too. The whole too big to fail thing.
In 2011. The 2011 bailout, when people would call us and be like, people would call us and bitch us out and be like, we bailed you out. You better help me. And we're like, nah, man, we're contracted. Nah, man. See,
you're sitting there and you're like, yeah, this is your bailout money. I'm getting paid with that money.
Going to work. Going to work. All right, Jeff, I'm going to have you start off with the three, maybe three moments throughout the season that sort of stick out to you. Three things stick out to you. Three of whatever things stick out to you from across the season. I want you to start us off.
Gotcha. Well, number one comes from our honorable mention, and it is the Black Justin Bieber. And it's his entire attitude, this entire fucking episode, and how goddamn happy I was when Paperboy finally took him the goddamn fuck out, because he's such a little prick. Sorry, pent up emotion. I'm watching the episode right now, so I'm just watching this kid pee on a wall like an asshole, and it just makes me so happy when Paperboy takes him out.
I love it.
So that one. My number two comes from Go for Broke. Loving, once again, seeing Paperboy do his business. And the entirety of the situation of him dealing with the drug stuff and the Three Migos and everything.
Migos!
And just Darius. Just like, hey, did you...
The key.
Do you have the key?
The
Do you have the key for the handcuffs? Did you check your pocket?
But Darius is not afraid because he has daddy.
Well,
daddy on him.
I mean, dude, is it weird when a woman calls you daddy during sex? Man, yes.
Yes, it is. I agree with him. That's a good line. Something bad happened.
Oh my god! And then my third favorite. Honestly, my third favorite would be in band, but we've already talked so much about it. I'm going to shift it to the club. When finally, he just all right, this guy's clearly screwing you over. And like I was saying during that episode, the guy's sitting there like, oh, well, we had to have extra security because your boy's a thug and da-da-da-da. Well, then use your thug on him. Like, if the guy's sitting there like, I'm not going to pay you what I owe you because your guy's a thug. Your simple response is, well, here's the deal. You're going to pay me what you owe me, or I'm going to go get that thug. So when it happens at the end of the episode, I'm just like, yeah, like I told you to do. So those are my three moments, or just storylines, like mini storylines within storylines that I loved.
I'm gonna go ahead and go next, and we'll have Terry go last. Do you mind that, Terry?
You're just doing that so that you don't keep Terry's list again. Man,
I'm scared because I feel like Terry's is going to be the best, and honestly, I don't want to follow it up. Terry done came correct, and I'm like, have I even been watching this episode? Have I been watching the series at all? No. Terry came with factoids and shit, years of birth and shit, and I came with you guys know this episode came on one time, and you guys are like, yeah. Anyways, loser. Okay, so my number three, I'll start from the bottom. Now we're here because that seems to be a big theme. My number three is the side characters of this whole thing, the moments of the side characters. We have Ahmed White, who we are introduced in the first episode, and we have no fucking idea who he is until, again, my favorite episode, the BAN. Sandwich. If you do not eat the sandwich. The next time we all hang out, guys, can we all have Nutella sandwiches with juice? How about that? Can we all do that?
I mean, you guys can, but I don't think I want a sandwich.
Fuck you, white boy, again.
I'm good.
But the side characters, the people that don't mean anything, but sometimes maybe mean something. So let me just name a few because it just sticks out. The moments of side characters. We got Ahmed White, who we finally get introduced to during a commercial of BAN, of Black American Network.
The Mr. Cleo commercial?
Yeah, he's kind of the Mr. Cleo of the universe, of course. We have him. We have Zan. Zan is fucking amazing. Annoying as fuck, but amazing. Like, he's such when you round him out, you're like, oh shit, he's pivotal in this Atlanta universe. Another side character that, like, we only see once, and it's in one of your favorite episodes, Jeff, is that episode of the come up, like, right, the whole Darius and Ern story that was episode 4.
Stuyvesant Effect.
Yeah, where we see the little Asian dude crying on the sidewalk on the phone.
Just sitting next to all the goats.
Talking in like Korean or like whatever the fuck language he's talking in. And you're just like, what the fuck, bro? Imagine, like seriously, everybody, imagine you're standing on the sidewalk and you look to your right and you see this full-grown Asian man in pink shorts and a blue shirt sitting there crying on the goddamn sidewalk on the phone. What the fuck are you to think? I have no idea, but it's fucking hilarious. The side characters in the series, they the whole fucking Batman who runs up on the house and's like, Paperboy live here? What? He's like, yeah, and he's like, cool, and he's like runs away. Like, what the fuck, like, dude?
Man, you're getting too hot.
4 years from now, I'm gonna hire some dude in a gray sweatshirt and a gray sweatpants with a Batman mask, run up to your apartment, knock on the door, and just,
Money Blake live here? Yeah.
Does Unfiltered Bachelor live here? Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Run off.
Let me find out.
Wait 4 years, maybe 5, so you don't even fucking remember this conversation.
Let me find out you're gonna hire Terry.
I mean, I can pay. That's balling on a budget.
My number 2 is the white guy from this is the moment of the white guy in the first episode saying the N-word twice in the same 2 minute clip, bro.
Like, and you know what?
Ridiculous.
I have actually seen Flo Rida live at South by, and it was a good show. I like Flo Rida.
Terry, can you quote
Flo Rida songs in a row?
Yeah, can you quote what this young white man said, please?
And I pulled him aside and I go, really, nigga?
Now, Blake, can you quote this white guy at the end of the episode with Paperboy?
I'm gonna be like that black dude in the club and be like N-word.
That was so awkward.
Like I do when I sing rap. Yeah.
I want to be like that black dude in the club, like where he's quoting Paperboy. Even though he's black, he still says N-word, even though he can clearly say the N-word. He just says N-word. I want to be like that guy. My number one moments are, it's really the race moments, the awkward moments of race in this. And we have so many. And I feel like Jeff really hit on some select moments that are like unforgettable. And I'm sort of, mine is a little bit more general, even though the second one was very specific. And it kind of ties into this. It's the race elements though, right? So you have the kid who has a white face, who's black. That's kind of fucking weird, bro. Like, what would happen? And like, Terry,
about that kid.
Remember, Terry, I want to ask you this, and you heard the episode. Like, what would happen if a white kid went to school with blackface? Like, that motherfucker would be expelled, bro. You know what I mean? Like,
that's ending up on the news for sure.
For sure.
I mean, expulsion or not, it's gonna depend. They're gonna call for it. They're gonna call for expulsion. But the most important factor would be, it just wouldn't have ended with, I'll just go to ISS. No, the news cameras would have been there.
Everybody would have been on it. So that's one of them. We have a black Justin Bieber in this series, ladies and gentlemen. In this season, Justin, like, I remember watching the episode the first time, and if I gave this away, somebody's tuning into this just for the fucking entertainment value, God fucking bless you. But if you're watching this and you feel like me when you watched that episode for the very first fucking time, and you realize, like, they're like, Justin Bieber, I remember looking for him. I'm like, all I see is this black dude. Like, oh, that's him? I was like, oh, shit. And that's when I got the satire. I'm like, oh, this universe is kind of like ours, but it's not. Like, in this universe, Bieber black. And he doing some black people, like, some, like, extreme, like, shit that's like, if like, I don't mean to say black people shit, but like, what would Justin Bieber do? Like, if we just change the skin tone and it was like Justin Bieber black. We have, you have diet soda, you have like soda zero. This is Bieber black. What would Bieber do if he was black? And like, it's like, and it's not even anything different. Like the crazy thing is, it's not anything different. It's literally shit that Justin Bieber does in 2016.
Well, right. That's the point,
Like that's the whole thing.
And it all made news though, but did it make you, but when you saw black Justin Bieber doing those things, did it make you question his actions or did you accept them more?
I was just like, oh, this is what we're doing?
100%.
And for me, no. For me, I was just like,
I always questioned it when white Justin Bieber did it too. So
right, yeah, that's what I did.
Was a prick too. So,
and I feel like that's kind of also how the news people were kind of treating it. It was like, oh, it's just no big deal.
You're right. NBD. And he even goes so far as to the end of that episode apologizing with the song. And it's just like, oh, you blimey fuck, you did this.
Wow.
You did this.
And remember, another part from that episode, Ern gets into the agents meeting or whatever because the lady confuses him for another black guy.
Yes.
Alonzo,
darling. And then we have, of course, the other issue, the race element is Craig being basically indoctrinated in like just his assimilation, like it's assimilated into like what he thinks is black culture and like what he assumes everybody else is on. Like when he asked Ern, he's like, "You've never been to Africa?"
Yeah, I was like, come on, I've been to Africa like 50 times already, man.
I went to beg for forgiveness, right? Is what he said. And he's like, what are you? Like, and he asked him all these tribes and like, Ern's like, well, there was this weird thing called slavery and it kind of like fucked up my shit. And he's just like, yes.
Dude, I still gotta say, Monique described that type of person perfectly. Black as a hobby.
Bro, but he's like, he told my 95-year-old grandma that she was making collard greens wrong. if that isn't if race isn't like one of the biggest themes, takeaways, and one of the biggest moments of like the series, like and as much as I point out something general and you had a lot of specific ideas, I think both of them work in this series because you need to understand the granular and the big kind of the big overseeing picture, which is what takes us to our third point. Terry, your top 3 sort of takeaways from this whole season, top 3 moments stick out to you type shit.
I'm going to start with one you already named. It was a side character, and it was Zan.
Fucking Zan.
Just Zan entirely. He was just the embodiment of all social media, what a social media person is. Just trying to be, an influencer. He is the stereotypical influencer that you would meet in these type of situations. And even though he was an antagonist to Paperboy, he really was helping Paperboy's clout with starting this whole rivalry and talking shit back and forth. And like Zan said, you're exploiting your situation. I'm exploiting you.
You exploiting
money, bro. And the funniest scene with him is when Al just slaps his hat off. And he immediately, just so smoothly, just puts on another one. Like,
come on, his back pocket.
Didn't phase him at all. He was so ready to go. Zan life. I'm about Zan life.
Zan life.
I stand for
with
Zan.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. You want a hat?
Maybe we can make some sneakies. Next one, Terry.
Next one would go into the Streisand Effect episode, and of course, just the whole the red paperclip analogy, and just watching Darius work from just a sword
smooth
to a dog to like dog puppies, and I was just like, why would dog puppies that will make a lot of money, when they have them, but that's a good come up. That's some good red paper clipping right there.
I love that you brought that up because I know that story. If you've watched The Office, you've seen it on that too. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, I just never connected it.
Trope. It's a good TV trope.
Yeah.
I didn't connect it, so I really like that you pointed that out.
I love it. What do you got for number one, Terry?
And number one is, of course, in the BAN episode, Swisher Sweets commercial. Just, they're just hyping it up, talking about how delicious they are. And I was like, nobody in the black community smokes Swisher Sweets. And then as soon as you just camera keys down, he's dumping it out. I'm like, yes, that's exactly what they're for. Amen, brother. I fucks with Swisher Sweets.
I'm gonna accentuate your point, because there is somebody that they say does smoke a Swisher Sweet with no weed. It is in the episode of The Streisand Effect when the bartender is telling Paperboy that there was a guy in there looking for him. He was actually in a Dodge Charger, and he was smoking a Swisher Sweet with no weed. And it was like, holy fuck! Why would you do that? But it adds to the whole point of like shock value for this guy, like. And he didn't look friendly, you know what I mean, or whatever. Like they say, he didn't look like a friend or something like that. Like I forget what the quote was.
I think it was still. I still think the guy that Paperboy shot. I think that was one of his friends, one of his boys.
Interesting. It could be. Like there's a lot of questions that we have unanswered. And first of all, Terry, lovely top three. These are all great moments, and I think those are all like takeaways like from each episode that like. You walk away with and you're like, yes, I love it. And let's get to some unanswered questions real quick, because first of all, after the first episode, me and Jeff were like, or even the second episode, we're like, where'd the body go? Did this guy die? Was he really dead? Did he get shot? Where was he shot at? Why is he not dead? Why is he still alive? Who is this guy? Is it Superman?
Oh, well, I actually found out what happened. Migos took him out of the forest and then shot him with a fucking rifle as he was running away.
Yeah, who was that guy?
You mean with Percy?
Old Percy.
First of all, hey, Terry, you love that you love that episode. I love that episode. How great was fucking Quavo as a fucking actor?
So great. I've seen a lot. I watch a lot of TV, and I watch a lot of musicians do cameos,
make cameos and shit.
And
yeah,
you know when a non-actor is making a cameo because they're just kind of robotic. They kind of still you're looking at the camera. Stop looking at the camera, and they're just saying lines. But Quavo, I was like, well, I kind of believe him. I mean, it's bad that he had to play a drug dealer, but I was like, he made a believable drug dealer.
He made a believer out of me. How about that?
He wasn't nervous about being on camera, though. That's another thing.
Yeah.
And you know what, Terry? I'm going to point out to you, just like I did. I don't know if you heard that episode with me and Jeff. He shot a guy with sunglasses on. I just want to let you know that.
At night.
At night, yeah. That's some Blazer laser tag type shit right there. I'll tell you what. But
I just love his cousin Tanqueray. He's like, "What's up, guys?" Oh, that's my cousin Tanqueray. He crazy, but he cool.
I told y'all we rapping now, huh?
Yep, we're the best friends. The four we the amigos. Yeah, the four amigos. That's not what that stands for, but okay.
There's so many great moments. Jeff, you had something to say.
So, I mean, I got everything to say, Blake. So I was reading a Donald Glover interview, and I really loved this part, this quote that he had during it. He was saying, we're kind of going through a point in time where if you don't want to hear anybody else's point of view, you really don't have to. And what he meant by that was he goes on to explain that it's because there's such an abundance of information out there that if you want, you can find anything to defend your point of view. And as a result, you really don't need to listen to someone else's. So I think one of the things I like about this show is that it's 100% showing me a point of view that I never saw before, that I never had a chance to, and honestly, probably on my own never would have searched out. And it's such an unobtrusive introduction into this into this culture and this community that I know nothing about.
Mhm.
And I think that was such a I really love how he did that. And I think it's awesome, you know?
Yeah, I do too, man. And I also want to shout out real quick. We did get a quick little Facebook from my boy Justin Adams, and I was asking people, shout out your favorite moments, whatever, from season 1. He shouted out the jail scene. First of all, the jail scene.
Yep. That's a man.
Man, you gay.
Why do you think she's sitting over here with the men?
She will be on the other side.
No, dude, that's on the outside.
And then, so he shouted out the jail scene, which, first of all, I love. And the dude keeps looking at fucking Donald Glover, right, at Earn, and he's like, and Donald Glover's like, I can move. He's like, I know. Miss, stop being so weird.
I love that scene too. And just for another story that happened is when the older black gentleman is telling him why he got arrested.
Oh,
and
yes.
he just has that pure Atlanta cadence
yes.
of the way he tells that story, and it's just like, boy, I ain't seen him about 10, 11 years. It was just one beer. He just came out to the porch, he's just drinking them. I ain't seen him about 11 years. He's just drinking the beer. And I'm like, I ain't seen that boy. And just the way he says, boy, just so much.
When the guy turns around, he's like, I just want to have hey man, I just want to have a beer with you. He's like, shut the fuck up, Grady. Shut the fuck up.
It's just been like 11. I ain't seen you in like 12 years.
Shut the fuck up, Grady. And I can't get out. I can't get out till Tuesday. Hey, I can't get out. Terry, he tells me I can't get out till Tuesday. I can catch my check till Tuesday. My check don't come in.
He's been in the system before, too. He knows what's up.
He knows what's up. And then Justin Adams also says, and the Swisher cutaway. So the Swisher scene, obviously, that we've been talking about from Black American Network episode, which, again, so lovely. BAN. Also what I wanted to point out was, so the show starts and ends at night. It's a very interesting thing because as we get into season 2, it starts and ends in a completely different thing, whatever. We'll get into that on season 2. And then I also want to point out the relationship between Van and Earn. If we've got a few minutes to dig into this, because it starts off one way and it ends in a completely, by the episode 10, it ends in a completely different manner. Where in the first episode, it kind of feels like Earn is intruding on her life, or just kind of like a nuisance, or just kind of like, as a what?
Mooch.
Yeah.
He's mooching off her.
Right. By episode 10, he's not only not mooching off of her, he's giving her money to not even stay with her.
Right.
And he's making him dinner, and he's sitting down and having a family dinner.
Right.
He's
no longer a deadbeat dad, as she pointed out in episode 3, and he's saying, I'm a stereotype, and I'm okay with it. He's no longer that. She even says in episode 10, you're a good dad. And you're like, comes full circle with that relationship with Van.
I mean, I don't have kids or anything, but I have to feel like that's the best compliment a dad can get. You're a good dad. I got to feel like that's just like the over the moon compliment.
Yeah. Any takeaways on their relationship, Terry?
Yeah, it looks like it's maturing. You can't really tell if they're gonna stay together, if they're gonna get back together. But even if they, stay separated, they're at least maturing. They're becoming 2 whole adults who will take care of their daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So you see that growth there. And like you said, at the beginning of the episode, it seems like his motivation was just to make money to not get kicked out of Vans. And then at the end, he's made the money. He's impressed Van. He's kind of like, he's won her over a bit. And he gets offered to stay. And he's like, nah, I don't even need it right now.
Right. Much like he needed it in the beginning.
And it was like, and you know what? It kind of was. He stunted on Van.
Ooh!
Stunted on her there by saying, you know what? No, I'm so good right now.
No, we straight, baby.
I don't even think straight.
Oh,
But in the end, you
we
see
straight.
that he was fronting.
We straight.
You know, I mean, he's still living on his own, but it's still a front. It's a storage unit.
Doesn't matter. She doesn't know this. What they don't know won't hurt them. But I
You know,
love that.
He's faking it till he makes it.
He's faking it till he makes it. And shout outs to also Brandon Sibsey. He says, I love this show. Shout outs to him, fan and friend on Facebook. So touching on this particular.
Well, real quick, one last thing about their relationship. I think it's also important to point out that it's still not necessarily a healthy relationship. I mean, Juneteenth, the episode, after Blake's done his goddamn trivia research, we find out is less than a month before this. And that episode, their relationship was an absolute mess, you know? So it's interesting that it is getting better, but I think it would be very foolhardy to say it's good yet. I think it's important to note that, like, I think they're kind of in a honeymoon phase right here. And the question is it a honeymoon phase? And maybe like a traditional abusive relationship, you know, there's the honeymoon phase, then there's the build up to an incident, then there's an incident. Is it that, or is it the honeymoon phase of a healthy relationship where, you know, they've really started committing, and now they're kind of riding the high of that commitment, and they're getting ready to figure out how to keep going after that high.
Well, I think the thing is they've hit so many highs and lows, and it's been really like, you know, within a short amount of time, and you see it when like we first are introduced to Van, and it's that baby daddy kind of living with his baby mama, but she's kind of dating, but like he's still kind of a good dad. He still loves his daughter, but like also it's like a little jealous that she's seeing other people, but also he can't do shit and he can't say shit because he's kind of barely living there and he kind of barely making money. And then, you know, he wants to go and take her on a fancy date. And then a few episodes from that, obviously there's somebody else in his life and in his phone, and he's kind of seeing somebody else introduced into episode 9, right? Fast forward and to the beginning of the episode, he's not with Van and he's fucking some other girl and he just woke up, and then by the end of that episode they're fucking in a car, and then by the end of episode 10, right, like
which Van initiated too,
right? Van initiated because of, I think, like she sees, like she starts to re-fall in love with Ern in this episode, I think, and then that wave goes even higher when his dad points go up and his cool points go up in her book, because he's cooking, he's being a good dad, he's providing, he's everything she wants, and all of a sudden he's just like, also, I still need to be on my own. I'm still not ready for this. And we kind of touched more on this idea in season 2. I don't want to get too into it, but he's still in his head like, I love you and I love my daughter, but also like, I just don't even, I really want this, but I don't know if I want it. Like I still want to have my own independence. So yeah, it's that it's a whole crazy thing right there, man. We also have the relationship between Paperboy and Ern. As it started off in episode 1, Paperboy doesn't even trust him. Paperboy is like, what the fuck? He has to ask the uncle about Ern, and it's not until the end of the episode we start to even see a spark of their relationship as cousins.
Well, and I think the entire point is Ern's been earning it. I mean,
that's his
episode
name.
1, he gets him on the air. You know, he's getting the deal with the club, and even though the manager tried fucking him over, like Ern still got that deal. And hell, in episode 10, before we get to the end of it, he's got Senator K calling Ern up to set up a tour.
Tour.
And so he's really proven himself. But I think more than that, and that's really the rap side of things, the Paperboy side of things. I mentioned it in the first episode when Ern first goes over to Al to try and be like, yo, I think I should be your manager and blah, blah, blah. Al turns on him really angry and is like, dude, I haven't seen you since my mom died. And I pointed out in that episode, like, I think that Al and Ern, when they were younger, were a lot closer. And I think Ern's been in his own world. And I think that, after losing his mom, Al needed someone there, and Ern wasn't there. And I think that hurt Al. So I think that even just by spending time together again. I think that's just done a great job to repair their relationship as family.
Yes. Facts on facts. Terry, anything on that?
Just a big mystery that I still want to know, and I hope I haven't missed it yet, was why was Ern kicked out of school?
We don't
He wasn't
know!
kicked out. Would you know one thing? He wasn't kicked out. He took a year off. That's now turned into 3 years.
Right.
We highly suspected,
happened?
I think Jeff highly suspected in one episode, it all had to do with Lottie.
So, remember, in episode 1, Paperboy says to Ern, he says, 3 years is a long year off, huh? And Lottie looks like she's about 2. So I'm wondering if, like, halfway through his first year, maybe, like, Ern was back for, like, Thanksgiving or Christmas and hooked up with Van, and Van got pregnant. And maybe that's why he left. But we have absolutely no, it's exactly like you said, we have no confirmation whatsoever. And dude, with how kind of shameful Ern seems to be about all this, I don't know, that doesn't seem deep enough to me.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It could. It's the suspicion is Lottie's maybe 2 by the end of the season, maybe 2.5 tops. She started off maybe 18 months to 2 years old. It could have been that whole time frame where Van was going to have Lottie and then did have Lottie, and then Ern took out, left, ditched school. And we don't know what year even he was in. Like, he could have been a sophomore, junior. He could have even been a senior year, and he dipped out. Like, we have no idea.
We might be able to figure that might not be it, but this would involve season 2 when with Lottie going to they had that parent teacher conference.
That's right.
Yeah.
One of
we
the
can
final
figure
episodes.
out how old Lottie is from there.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's something we can get into later.
Good point right there. And then one of the final things I want to touch on as far as relationships go is Paperboy's relationship with Fame and how it grows from episode 1 up until the final episode, and how he's slowly started to see all the he's turning it like a diamond and seeing all the facets of it and seeing all the faces of it and all like the things that come with it, and how it's really not much different from fucking really selling drugs.
Right.
And he's meeting all the characters, good or bad, that he's ever going to meet.
Mm-hmm.
With a character like Zan, you're going to have haters that are going to follow you on Instagram and stuff like that. When they're at the club trying to stunt, you're going to meet girls that just, like she said, you just wanted to come here, hang out with a pretty girl, and that's what you did.
Girls
there's
and
nothing else that's going to happen.
And weirdos who want to recite your songs and say N-word, even though they're black.
Weirdos, yeah, exactly.
And
you're going to get the weirdo fans.
Well, also, he's going to get the guy that's more famous than him at a lot of places.
Exactly. The guy who puts you in your place to show you you're not all that famous yet.
Hey, but
Yep,
wait.
yep.
Think you're famous.
Which we also get in the Biebs episode.
Well, we all know Miles got the invisible car, so Marcus Miles got the invisible car. So let's calm down.
He's also
real quick.
got a peacock with a leather jacket.
I love how you get to see it, though. I love how it's like, was Darius? Darius believed it. He was like, no, he really does have one. It's like, Darius, I can't believe you. And then you see that invisible car peel off and hit those people. It's like, oh, he had one.
I love that they're not even talking about it at the diner. Like, they're just like, all right, crazy night, huh?
I love
like,
how
nothing about an invisible car, though.
I love how it's just, again, to give people an even more reason to tune in season 2. I love how it's brought up in season 2. I'm not going to say which episode, but it's definitely it's definitely brought up. But yeah, man, those are all my notes. It's all the relationship arcs that we see from top to bottom, and I think those are the 3 main ones. Van and Ern, Paperboy and Fame, and Ern and Paperboy. And those are the 3 ones that I think stay intact, and we also see a different arc of them come season 2. Was there anything I missed or anything you guys wanted to touch on, small or big, as we round this episode out?
I've got one small one and one big one. I'll just throw the small one out there first. I think this is interesting And I think it's interesting because during all this, my go-to fall asleep show, because I've watched it so much, has been in Community. And as we know, Donald Glover was a main star on Community as well. Do you notice the promo background for Atlanta on Hulu is Donald Glover? It's Paperboy, Earn, and Darius. Their faces right next to each other on a blue with like a blue lens over it, right?
Yeah.
And like it's raining or something. Donald Glover looks like Donald Glover from Community in that clean shaven, short haircut. Whereas Earn has got the bigger hair, and he's got the not 5 o'clock shadow, but more of a beard. And I don't know why, but that just seems so odd to me that it's Donald Glover clearly, but it's not his character from this season.
It's like season 2. It's like season 2 version of him, and I don't want to get into it because he does look a little bit different in season 2.
See, I haven't rewatched season 2 yet because I've been waiting. I don't want to.
I think that's a promo
too far ahead,
I think they used that promo picture from season 2 because he's a bit. His hair's not.
Well, that would explain it then.
As wild as it is in
long.
Season 1. Yeah, as long. That's another. It's another way to put it too. Terry, anything from you, big or small? Anything we haven't touched on?
Just something I had to go back and look up. It was from the BAN episode. The host, he was
Montague.
actually a parody of Nathan Fielder.
No, Nathan Fielder.
From
Nathan Fielder is the guy that interviews. We talked about this on the BAN episode. Nathan.
Like the reporter on the scene.
He's a reporter
right,
on the scene. The guy that interviews the teenager who wants to transition to be a 35-year-old white man.
Excuse you, the 35-year-old man who was trapped in a teenager's body. How dare you?
Hey Jeff, excuse me. What IPA do you have on tap?
And just that whole Game of Thrones question that hit me so hard. It's like, oh man, I've said that.
Did you watch Game of Thrones last night? Terry, are you in fact a 35-year-old white man?
I mean, that's what I usually try and pretend and sound like when I'm on the phone for job interviews. I mean, we work together. Can I tell you how shook the interviewer's face was when I walk in there?
No,
I have what they call the business white voice that I use right now all the time, and just man,
sorry to bother you.
He used that "sorry to bother you" voice.
Yeah, you're the white customer service voice. I used it. Blake's heard it.
I have. I close my eyes and pretend Terry's white.
How funny is it that Lakeith Sutherland's customer service voice is David Cross of all fucking people?
It's so. I love that movie. It's a great movie. But yeah, what a great season.
So I got one more for you guys.
Oh, okay.
I think this is actually an important one. So I was looking up Donald Glover interviews and stuff, just trying to get a little more into the mindset of everything. And he was saying when he was first getting ready to do this and everything, he was writing it a lot like 30 Rock or Community. And then he was like, let's try and get a bit away from those. And he tried writing it more like The Office and stuff. And then he says, but the more I kept thinking about it, I think I just became a little more interested in fear and how fear forces people to do things. And how I liked how fear makes people feel. It's something that people think is exclusive. It's something exclusive from a lot of other things, but fear and comedy are very related. And I think if you do them well, if you're scared by something, you're more likely to laugh. And if that isn't a good description of this show, of this
season at least, like fear makes a lot of people do a lot of different things. I'm watching the episode just because I got the episode pulled up in front of me. In Value, it makes Van hustle to try and get her fake drug test across the board, right?
She tries and smokes diaper water.
Fear makes Earn go to the point of trying to be go to the point of where he pulls $500 out of his old sneaker box to go get Paperboy's record pushed. Like Fear drives a lot of the characters to do the things that they feel is best. You know what I mean?
More importantly, we can all relate with that, you know? Who can't relate with being being afraid, like, shit, is my phone gonna get turned off? Crap, am I gonna be able to afford rent this month?
I was just gonna say, I love how Terry's sitting here. He's the only black guy on the panel, but he's also like, yeah, tell me more about my culture, bitches. Y'all fucking white.
Okay, so Terry, let me tell you about rap and how it came into being. Now, on the go.
If I had $1 for every time I had to hear this conversation,
you'd have $4.
You could at least buy some Sour Patch Kids. On that note, I want to thank everyone on our panel. Terry, I appreciate you coming on, man. Hopefully we have you on as a guest a little bit more regularly. I feel like this is fucking great, man.
Yeah.
I can't. I want to do season 2, episode 5.
Oh, for sure. The barber episode will definitely.
Man, that one hits home.
I have a lot of insight on that episode.
If we don't have, we'll definitely have you on for that episode. If we haven't already had you on for 1 or 2 more before that, and at least 1 or 2 more after that. Terry, where can people find you on social media if they want to follow you? Blast yourself. Take over my show real quick, man.
Where you can find me, as I mentioned last episode, you can find me on Ballin on a Budget. That would be on Facebook, where we find local free things to do in the Austin area, Dallas area, and the Denver area. And more recently, if you go to YouTube, you can find me at Terry Flexen, where I've been infusing hip-hop and cooking. The name of the videos are Trapping in the Kitchen, where you'll see some of the hottest SoundCloud artists that make trap music combined with what I think is some phenomenal cooking.
I love it. I love all of that. Jeff, where can people find you if they want to just throw some heaters at you, or they want to talk to you, or they want to be your neighbor?
You can try finding me on Facebook. You can try Skyping me at Don Cheadle's driveway at LilDicky2.com. Sorry, it's for security reasons. You can stand 6 feet away from me in public and yell at me. And pretty soon I'm thinking about making my own podcast where I just tell black people how their culture was made. And I think it's going to go over really well, guys. I think it's going to get high ratings. Really socially acceptable, you know?
Terry, can we mention this on Balling on a Budget? I think people would love this.
Yeah. I mean, people are needing something to listen to in quarantine. I, gotta admit, there's not a lot of events going on right now. So we're definitely looking for things to promote. I'm just floating the title idea.
I'm just floating names for it, but I'm thinking the most arrogant asshole ever. I think that'd be a good title for that podcast.
Craig the White Man, entitled from Atlanta.
Craig the Savior.
If you guys don't want to follow that, but you do want to follow Balling on the Budget, and you also want to follow me, you can feel free to follow Unfiltered Bachelor on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. It's all Unfiltered Bachelor. You can also follow the show, Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, everywhere podcasts are. That's where the show is. If you feel free, click like, review, anything that can get the show to a friend so that way they can tell their friends, so that way we can all be friends. I would very much appreciate that. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're always putting on for Austin. If you want to follow me because I said something funny, or because you love my voice, or because, I don't know, you want to see what I'm going to post funny, feel free to follow me, Money Blake Weather. It's not 3 words, it's just 1 word. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat. Thank you so much for tuning in, whether it's morning, evening, afternoon. Until the next time, and until the next season of Atlanta, we will see you. Peace.
Girl, what's your problem? 'Cause I know it's hard sometimes. Baby, just give me some time. Ooh, on and out, girl. We can solve them. If you just give me some time, I can open up your